And now the Pentagon is considering whether to divert weapons intended for Ukraine to the West Asia as the war in Iran depletes some of the US military's most critical munitions. Have a look at this report.
The United States is making security guarantees for a peace deal in Ukraine, conditional on Kyiv giving up all of its eastern Donbas region. That was according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday. With Washington's focus drawn to its conflict in the Middle East, Zelensky says U.S. pressure is mounting on Ukraine to bring a fast end to the war with Russia after 4 years of conflict.
Americans are ready to finalize these guarantees at a high level once Ukraine is ready to withdraw from Donbas. In my view, the Russian side is shaping the atmosphere in its dialogue with the Americans around this very idea, that Ukraine should withdraw from Donbas. The United States will then provide security guarantees Ukraine is seeking, and Russians will certainly end this war. More or less, this is a triangle we find ourselves in.
The U.S., Russia, and Ukraine have held 3 rounds of high-level talks this year in Abu Dhabi and Geneva. But Zelensky says 2 key issues remain unresolved: how Ukraine would be protected from future Russian attacks, and who would help pay to sustain its military deterrent. Moscow insists control of Donbas is non-negotiable, though military analysts say Russia's advance there has been slow and costly. Zelensky warned that giving up the east would undermine Ukraine and Europe's security.
You understand that withdrawing from Donbas is wrong, immoral, and so on. But withdrawing from Donbas today also means weakening Ukraine's defensive lines. That's it. Whenever there is a deadlock, at some point they send a message, what if? So tell me, why wouldn't they start the war again on new terms and tell the whole world, look, we can use the weapons we mentioned? We have no protection against that.
Zelensky said Moscow is betting that Washington will lose patience and walk away if talks stall.
In my view, the President of the United States takes a more pragmatic view of this matter. And he certainly wants to end the war and for this to happen quickly. We want things to be done quickly. In this situation, quickly means at someone's expense. And here that means at the expense of Russians or at the expense of the Ukrainians. Of course, I am not liked because I'm not letting this end at the expense of the Ukrainians.
Zelensky says only a direct summit with U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin can resolve the remaining disputes, territory and security guarantees, and bring an end to the war.
I believe that withdrawing from the east of our country poses a high risk to Ukraine, to Europe. And ultimately, a failed peace poses a big risk for Trump and his team, which is why we need to talk.
A 4th round of trilateral talks due this month was postponed due to the Iran conflict. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment.